Hey folks, I'm Matt Major. Welcome to Good News York. I'm joined as always by my you're not super spiky hair.
No.
fella.
I'm like halfway.
And it is almost like we coordinated shirts, and I
know.
feel weird.
It looks like we need to start a band called like the Plaid
I did not
Dads.
coordinate my watch like you though, so.
All right, you're really on this coordinating watch. I thought you would appreciate that I coordinate my watches to my.
I do appreciate it. It's the funniest thing that I've ever seen. Anyway.
Plaid Dads. That's our band.
Happy Veterans Day before anything
else. Absolutely. Happy Veterans Day to all the veterans out there, men and women that have served and that do serve and protect our stupid asses. I mean,
they deserve more than
they deserve. Yes, more than a day.
It's also 11/11, which
is
something that we're going to talk about with our guest, which is a great way to introduce our incredible guest. And when I say introduce, Mike has been working on this introduction.
Listen,
for some time now.
As a producer, you're supposed to edit things. And I went to edit this intro and I went, but all of this is relevant. So this is officially the longest intro in the history of the show. And it is, every word is meant to be there. We have the former CEO of Hematology Oncology Associates of CNY and author of many books, including Building the Team from the Inside Out. She has over 30 years of healthcare experience in senior leadership positions. She is a board-certified fellow in the American College of Medical Practice Executives and maintains an active role in leadership development through various speaking engagements. She has a new podcast with us here at Growth Mode Content that will be debuting soon called The Transition of Hope. She has earned her bachelor's degree from the Albany College of Pharmacy and her master's degree from Upstate Medical University. She obtained a doctoral degree in divinity from the American Institute of Holistic Theology. And just when you thought it was over, she serves as a board member and advisor to several community organizations and is the co-founder and president of the board of directors of Cancer Connects Incorporated. She is a Reiki Master certified heart-centered hypnotherapist and a senior chi running instructor. Maryann Roefaro. I mean, wow.
That was.
I'm tired.
I'm just going to call her Maryann.
Let's go.
Or you could call me Mare like the horse. That's what my friends call me.
Is it possible I left anything out? Did I get everything was in there?
Oh, well, I've been a busy girl for a lot of years, but no, I think that pretty much covered it.
Wow.
I didn't wear plaid today, but I do have my love t-shirt on because
I really like that.
Well, I had to, make it long sleeves. It's a little chilly here, but I have to say, this is all about LOVE, love. It's the only thing that there's too little of.
Yeah, well, we need more of that.
Yep.
So, Maryann, I want to get into the book, obviously, that we have here. It's one of the reasons we're, spoiler alert, she's got a new book that we're going to be talking about. But I'd like to give people a little background on you first. So, aside from your resume that our man just read here, just tell us a little bit about yourself and how your career kind of progressed to where we're at today.
Well, I actually started out as a medical technologist in the clinical microbiology lab. And I had total plans on getting a PhD in clinical micro, but I had a poster one day. I was 29 years old, and I looked at all the people coming by my poster, and I thought, I'm really nothing like these people. This is not a good move for me. So on the way home, I told my mentor, you know what, I'm not going to get that PhD. I'm going to be an administrator. And then he said, well, this is your whole life, and what do you know about administration? And I said, well, honestly, how hard could it be? I'm a born leader. It's all going to work out. And from there, I did remarkably exciting things in this community. Set up the first urgent care that ever existed, met with Excellis to try to convince them what an urgent care was. Thanks to A. John Marola, MD. It was over at North Medical Center. It was his brainchild. And then I was the administrator of his practice. And before that, I was a lab manager, a supervisor. And then I was the VP at Crouse Hospital for 7 years, corporate VP of ambulatory services. And then I took my Hematology Oncology Associates. I was there 23 years.
Wow.
So it was a long time. But everything I've ever done all has led really, it creates who you are.
Sure.
And it sets up the future for you. And I would say Hematology Oncology Associates was, I stayed there a long time, which I never did before that. They used to make a joke, don't write her contact info in pen because you'll only have to white it out, use pencil. But yeah, I stayed there because, first of all, cancer care in and of itself has had dramatic changes. We had so many wonderful opportunities to create new programs. But I would say one of the key objectives that I had was my own self-mastery journey, and also bringing that self-mastery journey to the employees, because there's about 350 employees there today. And when you look at all these people, you think, what can I bring them? I'm a very service-oriented leader, so every day I would be like, what can I do to make these lives better and help people see the divinity and the preciousness and the beauty within themselves? Because when someone brings their best self, everything else kind of takes care of itself, So that's really what, and it's interesting, you'll find out from this book and some of my others, I'm very intuitive. My mom was the world to me. She died when I was 14.
Wow.
And from 7 to 14, which I tell a lot in this book about me, we had the most precious mother-daughter relationship, unlike probably most mothers and daughters. It was had a lot of spiritual communication and a lot of communication about the absence of death and merely taking on another form, in which she promised me she would be with me always, guide me, help me. And I really was able to hear her from the day that she died when I was 14. And through the years, when you open yourself to what most people would think is kind of crazy, as long as you do it in a way that is completely consistent with goodness and light and all that is divine, I look at that intuition as another sense that other people don't always have. And it's not only helped me through my career, which I would talk about things now that I wouldn't when I was a CEO, hence my former book, A Human's Purpose by Millie the Dog. I was still a CEO and I didn't want to spill all of my beans.
Sure.
So I wrote that book through the voice of a dog, my dog Millie. However, this is actually very interesting. My stepmom, my husband were sitting at the kitchen table waiting for me to finish my 10-mile run. I think this was October of 2023. And while I was running, I heard next book, Transitions of Hope. It told me a little bit about it while I was running, because, running puts you into an altered state of consciousness where you can really connect. And it's funny because my career, I had to be very good in finance and business and operations,
Sure.
and healthcare is so complex. And, I lived in this other world through my really entire career and sought guidance from whomever. And so I walked in the door and I said, oh my gosh, my next book is going to be called Transitions of Hope. And there was a tag that I have to write down because I will never remember it. And that tag was using the power of the mind to replace fear with love to navigate life's challenges, because really love is what it's all about. And it's funny that I didn't memorize that. I have to look at it. And I look at it every time. I tell people, yeah, and then there's a tag, but I can't really remember it. And so, my stepmother, my husband, they're used to, me living on the edge of the envelope. So they weren't like completely shocked. But yeah, and then I was inspired with a lot of this book, but I really actually wrote this one myself. The Millie book is really a divine download. And even my leadership book, which is called Building the Team from the Inside Out, that's like a self-help book and a leadership book had a head-on collision. Because truthfully, to build teams and to eliminate dysfunction can only come from when people clear the clutter within them. But if people can work on their own self-mastery journey, everything just proceeds beautifully. You don't have toes to step on. When someone says something, you're not offended because you understand. This is one of my key principles, that every relationship we have depends on the relationship we have with ourselves. Everything. So everything someone says and does is a reflection from the inside out. And so when you acknowledge that, you don't take things personally. And I talk a lot in this book about how, we don't have the whole data set of our lives. And actually, Mike and I were chatting a little before this, and we talked about hypnotherapy. And I talk about that in this book, how 8 to 9 out of 10 of my clients would go to another lifetime to solve issues from today. Now, I grew up this Catholic Italian girl. However, I have to say my mother, my grandmother, extremely spiritual, very connected to the other side, very much, talking to dead people and all of that kind of stuff. So I was always immersed in the other side. And so in any event, the first time someone went to a former lifetime, I was a little like, because I was in my early 40s. I'm 66 now, in case you're interested, just to let you know how much experience I've had in all of this. And I remember having my own self-mastery journey really expanding, because no matter, regardless of how much we think we know, there's always something out of our sphere of knowledge. And, having an open mind and always accepting that your premise of everything could be flawed is really important, because then it helps you really grow. And where you grow is from the inside out. I was running one day a whole bunch of years ago. I mean, this is so simple, but when the sun was shining on me, my shadow was behind me. And I remember thinking on Route 5, where all the cars were flying by, I remember thinking, this is so poignant. This is life. When we put light or love into any of our issues, then all that clutter and crap that we work on within the shadows of ourself are behind. And I remember thinking, I must include that in one of my books and when I speak. And so, those are the things that I talk about. I think I just went off on a tangent. I can't even remember originally what I was going to talk about.
That's all right.
But so that book is just filled with a lot. And so it's interesting also, like Hematology Oncology Associates was founded by the best oncologists. And I remember thinking to myself, so now I'm very early in my 40s, and I remember thinking, what could I bring to this group? There's already incredible doctors, wonderful staff. I mean, the culture really needed rehab, like a total 180 rehab. And I knew that I had to work on that. But I heard the word self-mastery. And it's funny, at that time, I didn't even know what self-mastery really meant. And I was like, self-mastery? Okay, well, I better do a little research, figure out what the heck this is. Oh, I know, we were talking about previous lives. So the first time I was shocked when someone went to a previous life to solve their issues. The 50th time, you're just going with the flow. And I felt very privileged that I could journey with these people in their healing journey. But also it was almost like I would know what to say and what to do. And so for 10 years, I had my private practice of Reiki and hypnotherapy on it was Mondays and Wednesday evenings, until I got too seasoned, old, to want to come home at 8 o'clock every night. So
Sure.
I thought, okay, I've been doing this for 10 years. I've taught a lot of people Reiki. And so I don't really do any of that anymore, because I will have people say, oh, can't you do a hypnotherapy for me? Oh, can't you do a Reiki? But I think what my role is now, besides little individual things, perhaps for good friends or whatever, is I want the message of making the world a better place, one person at a time, from the inside out. I really want that message to be embedded in the hearts of people, because we have a lot of anger in this world. We have people who can't get along, various opinions where there's a lack of tolerance. There's a lack of accountability that I've seen, even in the workforce over the last 5 to 7 years. The candidates are different. They have different goals. Not that it's anything bad, it's just different.
Sure.
And, we have disruptors in this world that are put here to disrupt. And some people love the disruptors and some people hate them. But nonetheless, there's this great purpose that a lot of times we don't see, because we're thinking very humanly. So another objective of writing this book was to be able to, weather those storms, to have hope through everything. Hope is something you can always have, because happiness, hope, they're decisions that you make. And, you can't ever hold anybody else responsible for being happy or any of that. It's all an inside job. And so really this book goes into a lot of that. And then There's also some very helpful exercises that I've included in here, like
Wow.
just practical exercises to help people forgive, to help people assess their level of self-mastery, to be able to be more resilient, to be able to be more hopeful. And, there's a slope of hope that is constantly moving. And one of the examples I use in the book is my former husband, very dear to me. I went through his cancer journey with him. And I talk about how the high level of hope that we had at the beginning and at the end were equivalent, but what we were hopeful for was completely different. You start out hopeful that someone will be cured. And what we ended was we hoped that he had a beautiful and peaceful transition. And he landed on the other side, filled with love. And I talk a little bit about that journey because the slope of hope goes like this all day long. And we don't really focus on that as people. We don't say like, oh, what's my, level of hope today? But hope and resilience are so intertwined that we really need that to keep moving forward, to get ourselves through all the muck, because there's a ton of it. And I don't care how bright you are, how rich you are, successful, what your titles are, nobody gets away unscathed. Nobody. And the life that people see in social media are so snippets. Young people don't realize everybody's got so much clutter that they're working on. And, the more clutter you clear, the more you're a conduit to be able to traverse life in a more global sense, not being affected by the moment to moment.
That's incredible.
Wow.
Maryann,
So I talked a lot.
Wow.
I'm gonna have a drink now.
no one's ever going to ask us why we thought you'd be good on a podcast.
Right.
Maryann, one of the things I want to ask you is, throughout your career, you spent all this time at hematology and oncology, surrounded by doctors and scientists and very, very traditional professionals, the type of folks that I maybe incorrectly perceive as being not into some of the spiritual things and everything that you're talking about. Can you tell us how all of this was received in that group of professionals?
Well, I was in the perfect place with the perfect group of people to accept my ideas. And I think it's partly because every one of those people are a beacon of hope to cancer patients and families. And some people make it and some people don't. And when you deal with the fragility of life, and when you see people, fighting with everything they have, or you see that it's time for them to accept that there's just no more, there's something that happens to you inside. And people would say to me, oh my God, how do you handle being around all these cancer patients and death? And I have always said, you learn so much more about life from those people than you ever could about death. You see resilience in its truest form. And when I first started, I didn't talk about spiritual things off the bat. So we used to have staff meetings, and when I first started, they were every month. And this is kind of funny because those people who know me will be like, oh, yeah, I used to love those. Or, oh, yeah, I had to listen to those. And I used to call them 8.5 by 11s. And the reason is because when I first started 24 years ago, I used to hold up a piece of paper with a word on it. In the beginning, they were business things. Good to Great had just come out, so we talked about some of those things, the enemy of great is good, and, just a lot of business terminology, talked about how to be successful, how to be, not so task-oriented, be more process-oriented. And then, slowly, as I was accepted as a good leader, and we were successful and really building a team culture, I interjected things. And I want to say the first was love on a piece of paper that wasn't business oriented. And then those 8.5 by 11s, even though it went to nice PowerPoint, sometimes it'd be a phrase, it normally would be a word though. And then I would go off on this whole little thing. And I was very involved in things that were going on in the practice. So I would know pockets of struggle. And I would always do a little meditation with myself, and I'd be like, what's the 8.5 by 11 for this month? And it was amazing. I'd have people be like, can you please send that to me? Oh my God, were you at my house this weekend? Oh my gosh, you have helped me like so much. So the tag, it was 8.5 by 11. It would say the month, and it would be making the world a better place, one person at a time from the inside out. And so slowly we interjected a lot of self-mastery. And that was really the premise of how I functioned as a leader. And so my team, my key leaders, you know, I guess maybe in the beginning they had to buy into it because I was the CEO, but I really believe they embraced it. And one of the things that why I wrote the first book is I remember somebody came to my office, one of my key leaders, and said, you know, another key leader said something that would normally really upset me, but I did something that we've learned together. I wondered what was going on inside of them that they should say that. Because I used to say, is that person loving? Are they going to sabotage us? They wouldn't even be here if they had those characteristics. So do you trust them? So there has to be another reason, something that you don't know. Because let's face it, you can react differently today and tomorrow on something
Sure.
that happens, depending on your fuse of like, what happened,
100%.
right? So you got to cut people slack. And if you trust them and believe that their intentions are always good, then that's what you got to do. When somebody says some crappy stuff, you got to think to yourself, what's going on here? You know, their intention would never be to hurt me, would never be to embarrass me, would never be, so there's got to be something else. And I really started writing my book shortly after that person came in my office because I was like so happy. I thought, oh my gosh, people really understand that everything's a reflection from the inside out. So you can't take this stuff personally when you pick the right people. Now, believe me, I've terminated many people in my bazillion years of healthcare, but sometimes I got thank you cards. Everybody's life went, because I used to tell people, if you're holding up a wall of ocean water, one of these days it's just going to come down and flatten you out. So if you're the square peg in the round hole, get somewhere that, you know, the sweater fits, where you can be successful. So believe it or not, we journeyed through this. And I mean, some of the 8.5 by 11s were awesome, like gratitude. Like I did a whole thing on water crystals and how you can change the morphology of water crystals. Whose book was that? Was it Masur maybe, who wrote the water crystals? Very good. You could just Google water crystals. And so I did that whole presentation, then handed out t-shirts that said gratitude on it, had everybody wear them the next day. And on the back, between gratitude was every employee's name. And, you know, we did fun things like that. And, you know, I might do one of the 8.5 by 11s on a book like The Four Agreements. You know, they were always things that precipitated thought. And so, you know, I really think, and the doctors just knew that the culture was shifting to be very efficient. We would have patients come and say, do you put happy pills in these people's water? Like, why is this like this?
You're like
Wow.
Patch Adams.
You know? And the doctors, I don't know, they're just an extremely special group of people. And so they embrace that. And then when we moved out of our Med Center West building, there was a flood. And I said, don't do anything with the flood, because it was a building that had a vault, and for market preservation, we didn't want to lose that site, but we didn't use it. So I said to the docs, you know, I'll do it on a shoestring budget, but let me make a wellness center there. You know, now this is going back 20-something years when Reiki and all of that, you know, acupuncture was probably more accepted. Massage was, you know, probably more accepted, but Reiki and energy work and all of that. And I can remember there were doctors like, well, don't do any of that stuff in infusion, you know. And through the years, it's just everything changed. People began to be more open. Patients wanted this. They realized. I mean, I talk about a few of my Reiki clients, because all I ever really treated were cancer patients.
Yeah.
Which was a real privilege for me. You know, you're the CEO in the daytime, and now you're part of the team, right? You're part of the healing team. Even though, because the most important thing, though, that I don't want anybody to ever forget is you don't throw out conventional wisdom. You blend it. you blend what we've learned and what we can do conventionally with ancient wisdom, because we are beings of electrical energy. You know, I talk about science, the science of it in here. I talk about Ampere's law. When there's any kind of electricity going through cells, there's, you know, an electromagnetic field, and we do tons of things with that electromagnetic field. It's some things we don't even think about. But, you know, I mean, I'm sure you've sat down and somebody's walked in the room and
Yeah.
you know they're there. You know, you've said, oh my God, you could cut the tension with a knife. Oh my gosh, what is the mood? Well, where does all that come from? It's all the energies and the patterns, right?
Yeah.
So anyways, that's how those physicians. And then when we did the new building in Camillus last year, because I just retired this February, we moved our wellness center. So now, you know, it's a very busy place. And it has Tai Chi and yoga and, you know, Reiki and energy work. And, you know, these doctors give it out of the goodness of their heart. So all the practitioners will bill for their own services. None of them are employees, and we don't charge them anything, but they have to charge less, like 20% less than what the traffic bears out in the community.
Wow.
Because I felt like you can spend a ton of money on billboards, you can spend a ton of money on whatever, but when those people go to that wellness center and they have profound experiences and go tell all their friends, and they know that those practitioners are charging less because those doctors have supported that. I mean, that's a huge marketing tool.
You know, it's amazing to me that I live in the world of, like, I believe in science and medicine very much, but I'm also spiritual.
Mm-hmm.
And it's rare that we find somebody with your resume who is able to play both sides and incorporate it together. It's really refreshing that you don't really see science and spirituality together. It's pretty cool.
No, it's great. That's usually, I mean, that's the red flag you see with some folks, and why you think they're selling snake oil is, you know, none of these doctors and experts in medicine that we've had, they're a joke, you know. It's this one magic plant, and
I had a physician.
You're not doing anything of that sort.
So I talk about a beautiful human being that I did Reiki on for, I don't know, years, every week. And she had lung cancer with metastatic tumors to her head. And so she had 11 of them, bam, 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 bam. And they had done as much radiation, whole brain, as they could, whatever. And her radiation oncologist, we were, you know, had beautiful relationships with these docs. He reaches out and he says, Mare, I mean, I kind of am at a loss. You know, that thing you do, that Reiki thing, do you think that could help? I said, well, it certainly wouldn't hurt. I mean, is it a coincidence that as soon as we started Reiki, she never had another brain met in her head? And she lived like 10, 11, 12 more years? I mean, I saw her in the grocery store, like probably a couple of years after we stopped doing Reiki, and she had braces on, and I'm like, oh my gosh, you got braces. She goes, yeah, had I known I was going to live this long, I would have got them a long time ago. I had no idea. And, but there was profound healing because she also did a lot of work from the inside out. But I've had other clients like, Maryann, you know, I don't see the radiation beam. I don't know how it works, but I know it's killing this tumor. And I don't know what you're doing. But for a week after, I have no diarrhea and I have no nausea for 5 days after this Reiki treatment. So, you know, and then that's one of the reasons why I set up Cancer Connects, because one of the things that Cancer Connects does is it has this voucher program. Because I also knew while these people were going through this cancer journey, it could be very expensive. And even though back then a Reiki treatment was $40, people didn't have an extra $40 hanging around. So I was like, we need a foundation that will raise money to be able to pay for these integrative therapies. And never in my wildest dreams, when I filled out that 501c3 paperwork for Cancer Connects, did I ever imagine that today, and it's for the entire community, not just Hematology Oncology Associates, primarily because it's not legal to have a foundation for a for-profit company. So it's for everyone. It's in 5 counties. Cancer Connects orchestrates the vouchers for integrative therapies, Reiki, acupuncture, all of that. It has a mentoring program where we hook people up one-to-one, try to even find the people that would really connect with other people. And then there's also a program that will distribute money to help people pay their copays, pay supplemental insurance, pay their car payment, pay their daycare. And there's an angel fund for all non-breast cancer. And then there's a breast cancer fund that is funded in total by my dear friend Lori Mezzalingua's foundation that she started. And you know,
Wow.
it's just, you know, it's the St. Agatha Foundation. Lori, I'll never forget her telling me the big secret that she was going to start it, named after the patron saint of breast health. And St. Agatha's funds so much in this community. And Cancer Connects is like the conduit to be able to distribute these funds. And Lori and I, you know, she was actually the person that I did my 100 hours before I became a Reiki Master. And I learned a lot from her cancer journey. So, you know, these are very profound things. I've been so blessed. I've been so fortunate to be able to do all this. But thank God I also have a really great science brain, and I am very grounded in science and medicine so that I understand, you know, because physicians don't have that training. You know, they want to see data. They want to make sure. They don't want to. So the most important thing is that they don't say, I think you should go for Reiki treatment. But if someone says, Doc, what do you think of this? They don't say, don't do it.
Nice.
They'll say, sure, it could be very helpful. So they're more just, they're just neutral.
Yeah.
But they support it. And, you know, big, huge cancer centers 20 something years ago were doing, you know, Reiki and all of that kind of stuff. And when Upstate built their cancer center, you know, they incorporated it. And I had a laugh because our docs were like, we've had this program for 17 years. And I wanted to say, yeah, remember how open you were about it back then?
Yeah.
But, you know, they're very open, and it's a very, and I think that's what makes HOA special. And I made sure that my successor and I worked together a couple years. She's cut of the same cloth, and I don't anticipate that culture and that self-mastery. You know, we even had a consultant who will be on my one of my podcasts, Mary Schechter. She runs the Intuitive organization. She's absolutely awesome, has done so much work through the years with Hematology Oncology Associates, helping people in their self-mastery journey. So we did a lot of work, and we spent some money for groups, teams that were having issues, to really appreciate what was inside of each other.
That's incredible. That's incredible. Maryann, we can talk to you for years and years and years.
Yeah, but we're probably done.
Which is why we're making a podcast. So let's just talk about that for a quick minute.
Yes.
And then we're actually going to get to making it. So,
okay.
A little behind the scenes.
Yeah.
But,
so, yes, I'm very excited about
what are we talking about on the podcast?
Well, I think down the road, I will have people as guests on this podcast. But for a while, I really want to focus on some of the concepts in this book. It won't follow it along, but the most important things, like every relationship we have depends on the one with herself. Well, how do we know? Like, what does that mean exactly? And how do we clear the clutter? And you know, how do you even assess your level of, you know, how do you do that? You know, unconditional love is an act of being, not an act of doing. You know, for how many years of my life I was like, you know, I'm sorry, I can't unconditionally love that person. I can't unconditionally, oh no, that's not going to happen. Well, I'm failing severely on this unconditional love thing. Until I was actually writing Millie book, and I was in a chapter, and I just got a divine download. You know, unconditional love is not an act of doing. It's an act of being. It's understanding that we were created from unconditional love, and we are unconditional love. So you don't have to ask yourself, what do I got to do to love these people? You say to yourself, what would love do? How would love? So, okay, you think very differently from me, but you have that prerogative. And I have, if I live in a world where I'm not going to judge, what is my place? You know, and then I want to talk about things like why we have the limited data set. What are some of the experiences I've had that have proven to me that there are other lifetimes? And what do we bring into these lifetimes? And what do we need to do to make sure that we don't have these recurrent themes over and over and over? You know, those are all the kinds of things I want to talk about. And when we have enough podcasts that I feel that people will have a foundation, then I do want to have some guests on there. But I'm hoping that these guests are extraordinarily different, living on the fringe, I heard the other day that there was an individual who's a death doula, who's a medium, who helped a young man in a coma communicate with his family. I want people like that on my podcast. I want like a medium. I have,
Absolutely.
because people say, well, that's supernatural. Well, I've had a ton of things happen to me, and it's not supernatural. It's natural. It's just out of our realm of thought. And, I'm going to spend some time in these podcasts talking about ego and spirit, the world of structure that we live in. And when you allow structure to dominate your whole life, what you get yourself into, as opposed to when you really allow spirit and put your ego aside. It doesn't mean that you have to give away all your stuff and you got to be poor and no, we are modern day mystics. Okay. We are people who, you have to live in this world. You have to,
Sure.
National Grids, not going to give anybody a discount
Right.
for, and so we have to be able to, and, you don't, people they have to have their needs met, but they got to have some of the wants met too. Otherwise,
What are you doing?
what are you doing? So I hope to really have a good time with people with this podcast, talk about all those
I love
things.
This is going to be fun.
Yeah, I'm going to actually ask people if they want to write in, but they're going to have to do something very old-fashioned. They're going to have to write, and put a stamp on an envelope, and send it to my P.O. box.
Maryann, real quick.
Yeah.
So
She's going to read real letters.
you're
I love
talking about
this.
previous lives. What do you
Yeah.
think Matt and I were in our previous lives?
I would
What do
have
you think
no
you were?
idea.
I think I was a deer. Because look at, my wife tells me I look like a deer. I'm
Okay.
eating.
Yeah. Yeah. There you go. You definitely got the
Do I
whole
look like a
headlight
deer?
thing. Yeah, could be.
What do you think you were in your previous life, dude? This is fun. I want to figure this out.
Well, now I can't say hunter.
Oh, that would be awkward.
But you know what? What you could do is tonight,
Okay.
whatever, you go
Alright.
and you evaluate some of the things that haunt you. Like,
Oh.
do you have something that you just can't seem to understand?
Yes.
And sometimes those things come from holdover. But when we come to this world, we have amnesia, because it certainly wouldn't be anything without free will, right? You have to make those decisions. Is it time to clear the clutter, or is it not? Some people love living in the density of their fear and their anger, and it's where they're happy. Okay, no problem. You'll just probably come back with that same bullshit until you figure out that, love is the answer. So might as well figure it out now. There's also, people think you die and, you just float into this beautiful place and all your problems are gone. And, I say it in the book. I use jerk, but, I have a very foul mouth, but I'm going to try to control it.
No, you don't have
But if you're a jerk, you die with jerk-like qualities. You have to heal the jerk, because, you take, when you die, no matter what you had here, everybody takes the same stuff with them. Their soul transfers, combines spirit. Now they know everything. They know all their other lifetimes. They know all the things they put in their path to try to learn and grow. And then you say, well, shit, I didn't do that.
Yeah.
Oh, I missed that mark.
Yeah.
And you can grow on that side. You can grow on this side. But these two worlds are so intertwined, and they're so much closer than people think. That veil. And as really the world turns and we evolve through time, and celestial patterns, it's getting thinner and thinner. And more people, and I even have an exercise in here, and how do you know when spirit's talking to you and it's not your imagination?
That's a great question.
Somebody taught me that when I was 30-something years old. It's in the book, and I'm like, I got to put this in here, because that was a game. I've had a few real game changers in
It's
my
worth
life.
the book by itself.
Yeah.
That was a game changer. And honestly, understanding that we are unconditional love. It's a state of being, not a state of doing. That was a life changer for me, because then I thought, oh yeah, I just have to really accept that opinion is very different, and that they're doing the best they can with what they have. Because, we all have, like, we're doing the best we can for the most part. And, we're living within that set of the gifts that we have. And so when you understand that about someone, you respect them for, okay, I'll respect you for what you believe. It's totally different than me. I don't really get it, and I could never really think like that. But, may you have a successful co-created journey, and maybe figure things out, and I'll figure my own crap out, and I'll try to effectuate the world that I can, that's here, and make it a better place. One person at a
Love it.
time,
I
from
love
the
it.
inside out.
Man,
love
Maryann
it.
Roefaro you are one of the most interesting people I've ever met, and I mean that in a very good way.
Well, thank
I
you
can
so
see the
much.
smoke coming out of his
I
ears.
well, I
already.
have
This is-
100
His
questions.
mind is blown.
Yeah, I mean, was I a deer in the past life? What happens when we die? And it makes sense that you're a jerk. If you're a jerk in your real life and then remember the guy in Ghost? Get off my train. He was a jerk when he died,
Right.
and he was a jerk in his afterlife.
Yeah.
It checks
That's it.
out.
Yeah. Sometimes, you know,
Phenomenal reference.
sometimes
Thank you,
Hollywood does blend with
Yeah.
real life,
Sometimes.
right?
Sometimes. Well,
I'm still not getting good at pottery, but
I just, I just want you to know that it's been a privilege to be on your podcast. You guys are awesome. I'm so grateful, and thank you so much for having
we
me.
really appreciate this, Maryann, and we're very excited because, like I said, it's obviously everything that we've talked is something that needs to be delved very deep into, which is the whole reason that people do podcasts. So this is one that we're very excited to
Me
make,
too.
and we're excited
our
to have
client
you here.
portfolio just got way more interesting.
It
you know what
did.
I mean?
That's not a knock on anybody else. But
No,
it's,
no.
This is a whole new world, literally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm very excited. And in all honesty, while we might not get nearly as spiritual or anything like that, the whole reason we exist, Good News York, is very much along the same lines.
Sure.
That's right.
I am a huge proponent of positivity and empathy for people in many of the same ways. So
Attitude's everything, right?
Absolutely.
yeah,
It really
and
is.
I love hearing an expert sort of quantify these things that I've already
Well, I'm
subscribed
on
to
my
some
own
degree,
journey.
so.
I wouldn't really call me an expert, but let's just say I've been working at it a long time.
I mean, you're writing books, so
You're doing something right.
yeah.
Maryann Roefaro, health professional, Reiki Master, author, and now host of her own podcast that's going to be powered by growth mode content, Transitions of Hope. You can catch it right here.
Thank you so much for joining the show.
Yeah.
Thank you. And thanks everybody for tuning in, you know? I mean, love. It's all you need.
Love is all you need.
It's going to be
Exactly.
it's going to be our new standard.
I
closing
think
right
so.
there.
Good
Yeah.
News York, sponsored
quick-
by Ads on the Go.
Quick plug for tomorrow's show.
Oh,
I don't know. Should I
I-
give this away, Should
buddy,
we make
this
it
is-
Should we make it a surprise? I always
You're-
get worried when there's something exciting that they're going to cancel on us the last second, and then I'm going to look like a schmuck. Like I've
I
been
say
canceled
go.
on CNN a couple times. They're like,
You
"Yeah,
did.
we're gonna go live in a half hour," and then they're like, "Oh yeah, we actually want to talk about something much more
Yeah,
boring." So
sorry.
you're out of luck.
You do your thing.
So
You're
I
the
stopped
boss.
telling people that I was going to be on. I'll tell you, there's a new restaurant coming to town that's got a lot of buzz. And it's a chain restaurant. It's the most buzz I've seen for a chain restaurant
Wow.
that isn't Chick-fil-A. A new Taco Bell cantina is
Really?
opening up in Manlius, and this is a merger of a Taco Bell and a bar.
Yeah, this is wild to me.
Spoiler alert, we're getting a preview of it before it opens. You will be able to see all this fun stuff on Good News York tomorrow, Thursday.
Thursday.
I don't know what day it is. It's coming up. We can also edit this out. What do we got? Oh, tomorrow we've got a bunch of
Alec, that's right. The from social media. He's a real estate guy, but he does these
local
really
guys
cool
been
videos.
killing it on social media.
Killing it on social media.
We got a lot of exciting things. I've got tacos on the brain, but
I've got tacos in
stay
my
tuned
pocket.
to the show all week, and also check out our boy Ads on the Go. Did you realize yesterday he had the truck with the graphics and everything outside? I didn't even realize
Oh,
till he was leaving. I'm like, oh shoot, he had it all. We should have grabbed.
we
more
should have
pictures,
got pictures. Yeah,
but that's all right. He'll be around.
yeah. Taco Bell Cantina, here we come.
That's right. That's right.
It's Good News York, sponsored by Ads on the Go. Get adsonthego.com. Maryann Roefaro,
Thank you.
for
Thank
being
you,
here,
guys.
and we'll see you on your podcast.
Woohoo!
Peace out.